welcome to one and all here. I'm here with Sandeep today. So, what we are looking at is uh, we've had this opportunity to interact with someone who has had the experience of being a COVID warrior. He has also been through the process of diagnosis and recovery. And especially during this time of lockdown, when we have so many questions in our head about this process, we might also, in fact, know people personally, friends, colleagues, neighbors who have gone through this process and have a couple of questions. So we have someone here who has gone through it all. And thank you so much, Sandeep, for being with us today and sharing your experience. Hi, Madhu. Our motivational team is there in the audience. So, Sandeep, to start off with, I think one of the questions which came up from the audience as well is what was your role as when it came as a COVID warrior? So, when you were a part of the support team, what were the kind of duties that you had to perform as part of this as a volunteer?
Okay, so I think we both know each other from the road track days, and you know that we are those kind of people who jump into service any given chance.
Yes.
So that's the first thought that came into my mind the minute this COVID situation started. We started distributing food on our own and doing things like that with our common friends, of course. And then BBMP, the Bangalore government, the Karnataka government came up with this concept of becoming a COVID warrior, where they sent out a link, click on this link and join and become a COVID warrior. And then,
Okay.
just like all other friends, I also did it. And then they initially assigned me the work of helping the police out with the lockdown. So
Okay.
they wanted us to sort of bring awareness to people about the lockdown, as well as help police out with the all the bandobast that is needed in order to keep people indoors. So this is how it all started, and then
Okay.
eventually took shape of I moved myself towards food distribution. That I felt
Okay.
that was more appropriate for my nature of work. So government used to give us lots of food packets every day, and we used to go pick them up and then find the needy people and distribute this. So
Okay.
used to distribute to 300 people lunch and dinner twice, at least in and around my area itself. So this went on for certain number of days, and then the
Okay.
first level of COVID lockdown was removed. So people started traveling back to their homes, and all those things happened.
Okay.
So by
Okay.
then, I think government also slowed down on the food part. And then the
Okay.
next part came in, that was the home quarantine squad was initiated. So then I
Okay.
went again and enrolled myself to become a home quarantine volunteer.
Okay.
So here my responsibility was to monitor people who are either primary contacts or secondary contacts of the positive patient to make sure
Okay.
they are indoors for their period of 14 days.
All right. Okay.
So here what we used to do was there was a certain app that was given to us with all the access. So we used to get their address and contact, location, everything. So we used to go there. So from a far distance, we are supposed to take a picture that they are at home, and we need to make sure there's a sticker on their door that they are COVID positive.
Okay.
And in case they are facing issues from the neighbors, right?
Uh,
Some sort of backlash from the people saying that don't stay here, get out of here. So all these issues several neighbors were creating for some people. So
okay.
we were supposed to mediate and make sure that they are feeling comfortable at home.
Uh,
And in case they needed something and they did not have any support system around their home or family and friends, we were their support system to give them whatever they need, including food, ration, all these things. So this was the
was there
process that
some
was
kind
going
of a training that you had to go through for this in the initial phase after you did that clicking of the button?
Yeah, there was a specific course that was designed by the government. So, which said what all the things that is expected out of you, and there was certain set of rules as to what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do
All right.
with
Okay.
respect to rules, as well as to be careful as well, and preventions that we need to take care as
Okay.
a COVID warrior. So they used to provide us with sanitizers, and they used to provide us with gloves and all these things.
Okay. So in
In
that
some,
initial
in
phase,
some
Sandeep, when you were a part of this response team, what kind of difficulties did you face with respect to, for example, you mentioned that sometimes people who are in home quarantine used to have issues with their neighbors and the neighbors being okay with it. So that's one of the definite concerns. Anything else that you had to face during that initial time?
Uh, I can probably mention two specific calls that really sort of changed the way I looked at people altogether.
Okay.
So one call after certain days, right? The count of people who are being quarantined increased a lot. So initially it was 5 or 6 people around you. It was easy to go physically to. Eventually it became 50, 40 people around us that had to be monitored. So we stopped going around outside for our own safety and we started calling people just to ask, it's all fine, right? You need something. These sort of things. Don't go outside. In case we feel they're not responding or we feel suspicion, we started going. So there I called up. So I used to get certain numbers and I used to be assigned with certain number of people to be calling. So I used to do the call center work every day along with my work, of course. So there I spoke to one lady. The thing was, her family member was tested positive. So that person has been taken to hospital.
Okay.
This female's test has been done, but her reports are not yet out and she has been home quarantined, and all those barricade sheets all are put in front of her house. There's a full hangama, or that feeling of hangama is going on in her mind. Apparently there are multiple teams working on multiple things, right? There's no so much of coordination yet. We were not prepared for such situation. So I am the guy who just calls and says, hope you are all fine at home. Is there any issues? Let me know, I'll help you out. That was my task. Likewise, there are several other team members who are doing several other things, which is part of their job description to call them. I called her up around 8 o'clock. Apparently, she told me that this is some 5th or 6th call I'm getting for the day. And everybody are asking me if I'm at home and I'm facing any issues. Are you guys hiding something from me? Is my husband fine?
Okay, I understand.
So that was her first doubt.
Okay.
I didn't know what to answer. All I know is, are you fine? That I'm supposed to write down those points. That are you fine? And this is fine. At that time, it really, shook me. I was not prepared for that question. So I just assured her that, don't worry. Your husband has his phone. You can stay in touch with him. There is no issues. All is going fine. I'm here to ask if you are fine.
All right.
And then the next point that she was worried about was, are you not telling me if I am positive? Because at that time, that was a taboo thing to be positive. At least now it is much better. That time, if you're positive, then you are looked as something else at all. And she was like, am I positive? Are you not telling me the news?
Okay.
She went into that spiral.
Okay.
It took me half an hour. I spoke to her for almost half an hour to tell her what my job role is.
Understand.
And I told her, I stay just next to your lane. I'm here because we want to become a support system. We want to help each other. I'm just a volunteer. I'm just working like this. I explained all this to her. And then she was relieved and she said, thank you so much for whatever you're doing. That was a very intense call, I must say. Very intense call.
Okay.
Because she went through a lot of emotions and I didn't know how to handle, but I guess I managed somehow by God's grace. That was one instance which really taught me to be prepared. And next time I asked the hierarchy of seniors that I had, that these are the questions, tell me how to respond to all this. So then eventually we learned all this. And the second situation, what I found was, there was this guy whom I called up with the same routine. And now I made it a practice to first give some disclaimers out. I'm just a volunteer, just here to check on you. So there's nothing more I know, or these are the things I can do for you. So now let me know how are you. So that's how I started. So that guy turned out to be a very happy, positive, jolly go person. He took my class for half an hour, where he explained such a good job that I am doing. He's so proud of me that at this age I am doing, and he asked a little bit about me, and then he started praising me and just telling that how well that we guys are taking up such an initiative, and he was so proud of youth doing such a thing and all these things. That also was very interesting, where I felt very motivated, because every day calling 10 people, 15 people, eventually you get bored of that, and it becomes a very routine sort of a thing where people respond very rudely also, as you might imagine. I really don't want to talk to you. So all those sort of things. If I say I'm from BBMP and I'm a volunteer there, they just say, I don't want to talk to you. Or some people are very rude, some people are very scared, some people have their own way of responding to things, and I used to face all that. So this guy really motivated me that whatever I'm doing was important, and it is worth the
So the first
Worth the
phase, I think,
sacrifice.
was more about the need for information and the need for right information, and
Correct,
the lack
correct.
of information itself can create one kind of an unrest or anxiety, right?
Very
When
true.
they feel that they don't have enough information. So
Very true.
in the second phase, Sandeep, when did you start actually noticing the symptoms? If you can talk a little about that.
Sure. So I think by the time we stopped going to houses or going outside, and we were doing just the work from the home call center work. So that almost went on for a month. And
Okay.
then I'm not sure how I really got any symptoms, but I saw that I got fever, then I got a little bit of cold,
Mm.
then fever escalated, and I didn't see any chance of it reducing. Then I went to my family doctor, and the usual checkup that I have fever and things.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
he gave me the usual antibiotics and usual things. Usually, couple of days that should come down, but here it didn't come down. By then, I'd seen too much of all this drama, so I felt it's better I should get tested. So with all
Okay.
this, I already developed a network around all kinds of teams, like
Mm.
testing team, primary contact tracing team, home quarantine team. So I knew all these people already.
Mm.
So I spoke to one of the guy, and I went to the government testing center, and I got myself tested. So there
Okay.
they got me the rapid antigen test. I think I had shared the photo with you. So that
Yes.
was the exact one that they tested me on. So there was one funny instance that I want to tell you. So there was a huge line there, right? So I went first, and I was a priority COVID warrior, so I was given the first option of the day to get tested. So there are a few people behind me who were probably asked from their office to get tested and come with a report or things like that. So the minute they put down my sample onto that, it is supposed to give out lines. So if there are two lines, that means I'm positive. If there is a single line, then I'm fine, or some things like that.
Okay.
So the minute they put, they're supposed to wait for 15 minutes for the
Okay.
proper result to come out. The minute they put, the two lines came out. I'm like, okay. The minute
Okay.
the PPE kit, their nurse or probably doctor or some volunteer there said, "Sir, you are positive." I just turned back to the people who were waiting in the line. They moved 3 steps back. Like
Okay. Okay.
that was very, I don't know, that felt very scary at that moment. That is
Okay.
this how people are going to see me now? At that second itself, right? Even though I've seen all this, that second was like, oh my God.
What
Everybody
ran
are like,
through your mind when they said that the test was positive?
oh my God. I was like, I was so sure that I'll not be the guy who will be positive, who'll get a positive result. For some reason, I don't know. I had that feeling. Like I have a good immunity. I'm a good guy, so such things will not happen to me for some reason. So when
Okay.
I saw that, I really shook. I
Mm.
became very numb, and I didn't know what to do next. I'm just standing there. Now they started doing all the talking. So as I told you, I knew all the people around and all the officers who were responsible to carry out the process.
Okay.
So that officer was very kind enough, and I had worked with him, so he was very sweet to me. So he
Mm-hmm.
told me, "You don't worry. You go to your home." However, I had gone in my bike. I was so
Okay.
confident. I just went in there in my bike to give my test. I had a little bit of fever. That's quite common. I had a little bit of cold. That's quite common. Weather
Okay.
is like that. No? So
Mm.
so then he told me, "You go near your house and wait down. I'll come near your house." And then he came to my house. That person was so sweet. He called my wife, my mother. I stay in an apartment on second floor, so he got my parents down and he sat with them and he explained to them what has happened to your son. So he
That
has
was
tested
very,
positive.
very
My
wonderful.
mother
Yes.
started, she lost it. My wife lost it, and everybody are so much tense and so much panicking.
Uh,
And everybody are scolding me. Who asked you to go volunteer and do all this? It was not necessary. See what has happened to you.
uh-huh.
And as you know, just for the reference to everybody, that I'm a father of a 8-month-old child as well,
Mm.
and I
Yes.
stay with my mother, father, sister, and wife in the same home.
Mm.
So kid and parents being at home became a point of trigger for the person, the officer who was sweet to me. So
Okay.
he didn't want me to stay at home.
Okay.
That
Okay.
was his way of thought. My wife and my mother wanted me to stay at home. We'll quarantine you into a room, and that's all fine. By then, the government had come up with a rule where you can home quarantine yourself as well
All
if you
right.
can follow all the rules and norms properly.
Mhm.
That sir was like, no, the kid is too small. I'm sure that we will not be able to handle the home quarantine properly. And I think he also saw that the washroom is quite nearby, and I don't think this will work out, is what he eventually saw.
All
And
right.
then he took some time out, and then he explained everything to my parents, how this is
Mhm.
all going to go. And then he told what are all the things that he will need once I take him. So go
Mhm.
get these things. And he told my wife, go get a bag. So put clothes for 7 days. I'm going to take him out for a vacation. This is all you need to know. Don't worry,
Okay.
he's safe with me.
All right.
So that was that sort of a how can I say, parently affection that he showed, and the way he spoke to my parents and the way he spoke to my wife, and sort of made them understand how
Mhm.
necessary it was for him to stay out of the home right now, and he's in safe hands.
Mhm.
So I guess I was very lucky there that we got somebody who cared enough to do all this. Instead of I'm just getting a call from BBMP saying there's an ambulance under your home,
Okay.
come. So that didn't happen to me.
So Sandeep,
So
here, when it comes to the, for example, the diagnosis and checking into a center and things like that, are there systems in place right now where there are people who are willing to come and discuss this with the family, intervene if necessary? There are support groups already available for that?
there is no specific support group as such, but
Mhm.
people who are already dealing have been taught to handle it in a way with courtesy to the family and things like that. But such individual attention is definitely not given, considering the mass amount of work that is been put on just one or two people for certain kind of work.
True. Okay.
So
Okay.
usually what happens is the result of your positive, or usually what happens is the swab test happens, wherein your result
Yes.
comes after 2 days. This rapid antigen test is not done for everybody usually, unless they show a lot of symptoms. But in my case, I was a priority customer to be pushed out of the home as soon as possible in my case. So that happened, and so the swab test result is not given to you directly. A BBMP officer is given your test. He's supposed to call you, and he's supposed to tell you that you are positive, and he'll
Okay.
discuss the options with you.
So
If
that
you want
comes
to
within
go,
2 days, the
yes,
first step.
2 or 3 days or whatever is the procedure. So
All right.
several new updates have happened, but with respect to the testing process and the testing kits as well. So
Mm-hmm.
at that time, this was the procedure. He's supposed
All
to
right.
call you and discuss options with you, saying, do you want to get home quarantined, or do you want to go to a private hospital where you're going to take your own care of yourself in your own way, or
Mm-hmm.
do we take you to a government care facility under our care? So these three
Okay.
options are given, and you need to make a choice at that moment.
All
At
right.
that moment, not everybody has the will and courage to take a decision at that time, because you're not prepared for to
True.
make such a decision. So that comes down hard on people.
Mm.
So we have seen a case where people abscond after that call.
Okay. Okay. And
So
that's
they
the
just,
danger, right? Where you lose that point of contact with the
yes,
person. And
that is why the test result they stopped giving to patients. That result was given to the officers first. So they are supposed to intervene, call, and make sure that you either do one of these three things, and their job is to monitor you till you are done with your quarantine period and you are fine.
okay. Okay. Are there enough people around for this right now? What do you think?
I think so. Yeah, they're
There
doing
are.
fine.
Okay.
They're
Okay.
doing fine.
So what
At least
happened
from my
after
bags.
your bags got packed?
Yeah, bags got packed, and it was too emotional at home.
Okay.
So they didn't want me to go near my daughter, and all that was happening at the same time. They didn't want me to enter the home. So that they wanted to feed me before they took me away. So all this happened. It was quite emotional at that moment for everybody.
Mm.
Though all this happened, of course, it was a very different kind of feeling for me as well to handle all this. And then I knew what was the next procedure that was going to happen. First step
Okay.
is they are going to start they are going to do the contact tracing with me. So they are going to tell all my family members as primary suspects, and they are also going to declare my entire building as a COVID positive place. They're going to sanitize the entire place. The entire area is going to know. And then My friends who are the volunteers are going to start tracking my parents, my family, if we are following the primary quarantine care and whatever is to be done. So
Okay.
this was going on in my mind that I know all the steps, what is going to happen next.
Okay.
And
So
then I
knowing that,
was,
did that help you? The fact that you knew what was the next way forward.
I think in a way it did help me because I was able to make a logical decision of calling all the people whom I had met a couple of days in those span of few days
Mm.
and telling them honestly that I'm a COVID positive person. I have tested today and this is my scene and
Mm.
I have met you. So watch out for
Mm.
yourself. So I think that gave me the courage. Probably at that moment, I think I got that courage because I knew what was going to
Okay.
happen next in this
Okay.
process. So
Mm.
that
Mm.
was done. So I called up all my friends, whoever came in my contact, I called up all of them and I
All right.
informed them that quarantine yourself if possible for few days, at least 7 days. That is the government norm for the secondary contacts at least. And then also, if you see any symptoms, get yourself tested. This is
Okay.
all I could say. And I just was as honest as possible and I just told
Mm.
them that this is this.
After this, you checked into a facility, is it?
This was even before I left.
Even
This is all
before.
very immediate. As I
Okay.
told, right, my mind started running way too fast. So I'm sitting under
Mm.
my home and like they're packing. People have all of a sudden everybody were given work and they all went and started doing their stuff. And I'm all alone sitting on the road and I'm not sure what to do next. So I was feeling too
Okay.
lonely at that moment probably. So I started
Okay.
calling people and like, okay, this is happening, this is happening. I guess I just wanted to share to them as well that I think
Mm.
I called
Mm.
up all my good friends that this is happening to me and they started, okay, that's fine. Oh my
What
God,
was
okay.
their
This
response when you told them that you had tested positive?
don't joke. That was one
Okay.
of the response. Second was, I told you this would happen to you. You didn't have to go to all that over the top nonsense of helping people.
Okay.
This sort
Okay.
of comments came in. And some
Mm.
people were sweet also, saying that, don't worry, we have seen this happen to one of our friends or cousins. It's pretty normal. You just do
Mm.
what is being told to you. It'll all be fine. This sort
Okay.
of.
What
So
was the next step
then
after that for you?
so then I was given a very sad alvida vidai vidai process happened. So, and then I was I so that sir got me checked into GKVK government facility.
Mm.
So then I actually suggested that I do have some insurance from my company where I'm working, so I can get myself checked into private as well. He was like, "You're a COVID warrior. You have already done so much, and let government take care of you. Don't worry." The first thing everybody thinks is government. The facilities might not be good. He said, "Don't worry. You are going to a good facility. You will get good. All the good care will be taken care. So you have nothing to worry. You just come down. I'll handle everything for you." So I reached to the place where there was a big board which said COVID center, do not enter.
Okay. All
So I think
right.
I shared the picture with you. There's a huge ground
Yes.
and
Yes.
it is actually a government boys hostel for
Oh.
this horticulture college inside GKVK.
Okay. All right.
So that they have converted into COVID care center now.
Mm-mm.
So I think I would like to speak a minute about the geography. That is also quite interesting there. There are
Sure.
5 buildings inside, all hostels. Okay. So
Okay.
one hostel they have reserved only for the staff there. So staff also lives there only. So they have
Oh,
like
okay.
shifts. They have 3 shifts where they have nurses, they have cleaning, they have doctors, all these people, whoever are necessary there. Staff for cooking, staff for feeding all of us, staff for medicines, all these. They all stay in one building. The rest 4 buildings are all patients.
Okay.
And
Okay.
that facility is specially for people with low symptoms, mild symptoms, or asymptomatic positive people.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So this was the scenario, and I was told that my symptoms are not good enough to be admitted to a hospital where I'll need an oxygen mask, and at least that was my first thought. But when
Uh-huh.
I reached there, I realized, okay, this is a different scene altogether.
Uh-huh.
So that happened.
What surprised you the most about it?
The minute I entered there, I saw so many people just sitting like in a park and hanging around. There are small kids playing, running here and there.
There were children there as well?
Children there as well. What surprised me was that they're all COVID positive people.
Okay. All right.
And if those kids can make it, I'm sure I can handle. Is the first thing I started telling myself. It's okay, all is well. Kids are here. Come on, you can handle better. Till
Uh-huh.
there, I think I was trembling, I was shivering, I was still wondering how it will all go and what would really happen. So
Mm.
when I saw those kids, is when I felt it's all
Okay.
fine. It,
Did
I think
someone help
things.
you with the getting settled into this particular facility, telling you what has to be done, etc.?
Okay, correct. So the once I crossed the border of that compound, right? Then
Okay.
you were either COVID positive person or you are a person with a PPE kit.
Okay. So the
So
identity was one of these two.
yes, one of these two. So
Okay.
I realized that after so there was a bit of a procedure of admission where I think I have shared one photo with you where there are PP kit people standing, right? So that was
Correct.
my admission process where a preliminary check was done of all my basic body temperature, oxygen level, and basic whatever weight, height, all those things. And then they
Okay.
made a note of all this and all the date of entry, date of testing, all this was taken. And there I was asked about what are the other uh, symptoms that I have, or do
Okay.
I have any earlier issues that I can mention, like if I was a diabetic person or if I'd undergone any operation earlier, things like that, which might be significant later on. So all those things were noted down about me, and case file was created, history was taken from me. All this happened, and then I was allotted a particular room, and then I said I was supposed. Then they told me I was supposed to share bed with 4 people in a room. I said I don't think I am comfortable with that. I made a call to the sir. I'm like, sir, I think I am not comfortable. I was like, I'll go home. Or else I'll go get myself admitted in a private hospital. I'm not feeling comfortable. I was still that in a runaway mode. Then he spoke to them. He
Okay.
said, for some reason, again, all that happened, and they finally put me in a VIP suite where only 2 people stay, and there's
All
no
right.
partner as of now. So
Okay.
that
Otherwise,
happened.
they have. Do you have the options with four in a room and two in a room
So
and
4 in a room, 3 in a room, 2 in a room. They have all those options, but usually they push people into 4 in a room or 3 in a, or wherever they see more vacancies. Because I think there were only few 2 in a rooms probably. I don't know.
okay.
So how that worked. So knowing people, knowing all this before again helped me there also. Or I would like to consider that as well. And then they gave. Do you want to hear the glory details of what all I received there, or let's?
Is it a part of that picture which you sent about the toothpaste and the comb and the shampoo, the
Yeah.
clinic, clinic
Yes,
all
yes,
clean?
clinic all clear, the soap, the
Yes.
shampoos, comb, and they
So that
gave
was
me
like a welcome gift in the hotel, which we get. This is like the welcome
exactly
gift.
just that
Yes.
Oyo was missing on all of them. And also they gave me pillow cover, they gave me a towel, they gave me a hand towel, they gave me a blanket, they gave me a proper rug
Mm,
to put
mm,
on. So all this was given, and then one of the staff there directed me to my room. So I
okay.
went there. So I got into a room. It was a proper boys' hostel. Like my college days, I used to see the hostels, right?
Okay.
Proper
Okay.
hostel with all the I love Shalini written on the wall, and proper table, chair, and one
Okay.
bed.
Mm,
Typical college dorm.
okay. Okay.
So that sort of place, and we had common toilets for the entire floor. That sort of
Okay.
that was the
Okay.
scene.
Mm, mm,
So I went in, and he said, "Water is there. You can take the water there. Water, if you want to heat the water that is in that room, you can go take there. The cafeteria is there." He basically had by heart probably telling to so many people, fat. He told all the instructions, and he said, if you have any other issues, you can come down to the reception, and if you are feeling any health issues also, you can come down to the reception. Doctor will always be available there. I
okay.
asked, is doctor going to come and visit me daily? Like, you don't have much issues. You can come down if you need. I understood. Okay, that is what is going to happen. So in
Uh-huh.
case I have issues, I need to go down and speak to them.
Mm,
Otherwise,
mm.
it's all fine. So probably I think I reached around 3 o'clock, and I was done with my lunch at home, and then I came. I locked myself in and I slept forcefully. I didn't want to face situation outside, or I was not ready for it. That first night was the most tough night for me. I
Okay.
think I slept there and then I woke up and then somebody just knocked my door and said, "Arey, food is being given. Why are you not taking?" He was other COVID patient who was in my adjacent room.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that because he told so many things. I was not hearing anything. I was so numb in my brain. He told you'll get food at this time, lunch at this time, tea at this time. He read out all things that he had supposed to say to me. I didn't hear all that. And then I went, I took my dinner, I came to my room, locked myself in. I ate. Food was not tasty, feeling so lonely. By then, news got circulated with my first circle family, second family circle,
Yeah.
my in-laws, my cousins, my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I got calls like anything that day.
Okay.
So many calls of people concerned, but it was too irritating to answer to them because I was not in a mood to tell them that I'm
Okay.
positive. Are you okay? Are you okay? Hey, what do I tell them? Yes, I'm fine. I just have fever and cold. I don't know what else to say you. I was very irritated to even pick up the calls. And it so happened that that Angel sir again called me. He said, "Hope you have settled down. It's all fine." He checked up on me regularly. He used to check on me regularly, and then he said, "Anytime you are sleeping, switch off your phone and sleep." He gave me a tip, or else you'll
Okay.
keep getting calls from people, and you don't want to answer them. Every
Mm.
time you want to sleep, just leave a text to your mother and your wife saying that you're going to sleep and you're going to switch off your phone. Switch off sleep, or else you'll never have a proper sleep. And I
Mm.
followed that night. I was so tired of answering all the people, so I just switched off and I slept. And I was feeling very lonely because that room was so empty, corridors were all empty. I didn't know anybody. It was very
At that point, you
sort
did
of a
not
new
have a
place.
roommate, is it?
Huh?
At that point, you did not get a roommate yet.
No, no, I didn't have a roommate. And nor I wanted to go explore the washroom as well. I was very paranoid of going to washroom also. I was not sure how the washroom would be when the minute they said common. So what my
Okay.
plan was at that moment, I'll stay for a couple of days and then I'll tell the people there that I'm not comfortable here and I'll move out of this place and I'll
Okay.
get myself into some private facility. That was my plan or
Mm.
scheme or whatever at that
Mm.
moment of time. So I'm supposed to just push one day somehow here. Was my plan. Then that night I was not feeling sleepy. New place, not my favorite pillow, so no sleep. And I already slept in the evening, so and I didn't want to be online also because so many people pinging me. If somebody sees the double tick, they'll start calling me. So I didn't want to go online. All this was going on in my mind, so I was just sitting there. I think around night, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, somebody knocked my door. And then they said, "Sir, he's going to be your roommate."
Okay.
So there was a roommate who entered. I was so relieved at that time.
Okay.
All through the evening, I was regretting that I should have gone to the four people person. At least I would have somebody there to not talk to. We are all people persons, so I want somebody to talk to be there, engaging with people always. You can't just stay alone, and I'm not that sort of a person.
Mm.
So the minute the person came, I was like so happy. That person was so sad. He was going through all this process of
Okay.
confusion and stress and things that
Oh,
were going into him.
okay.
So then I took up that role of calming him down and telling him it's all fine. Though I was not fine, I was telling
Uh-huh.
him it's all fine. And
Uh-huh.
I gave him water. I made him feel comfortable.
Mm.
By helping him out, I was feeling more comfortable. And then eventually we
Okay.
both slept.
Okay.
And next day onwards, we got to know the routine and we both helped each other. We became like a partner thing and
What
all
is the usual routine there for you were there for about 7 days, is it?
10 days I stayed
10 days.
there,
And
full
what is
10
the
days.
what is the routine
The
that is
routine was mm, so morning around 7 o'clock, you will have exercises
mm,
or not. If the person, the physical fitness person is there, then he'll conduct the exercises. So they used
mm,
to have this that volume enhancer mic thing, right? Who shout things. What is that?
yes,
That thing called microphone or whatever that is. So they
microphone,
used to
yes.
shout from down, "Come down for exercises! Come down for exercises! Chai, chai, chai! Coffee, coffee, coffee!" All these things. Right? So that's how they used to pull people down.
Okay.
So they used to call for exercises around 7 o'clock in the morning, followed by
Mm,
we would get I think tea, coffee would be there, and breakfast would be there. So they used to give those use and throw packets, bowls all packed up, and you
Okay.
just go pick it up, go to your room and have, or you want to have with people or whatever is your wish. So first 3 days, I never went out. Go breakfast, take, come back, eat, sleep,
Mm.
and then it so happened that my roommate said, "Arey sir, upma was given. I think no, bisibelabath was given. So it's actually smelling good and taste is quite good." I'm like, "Oh, is it?" And I smelled. I did not get any smell at all. Why am I not getting any sense of smell? Then I took out a powder and I smelled. No smell. No smell. I have no smell. No smell. That hit me. So at that moment, I realized I had lost the sense of my smell completely.
Okay. So your symptoms were then increasing.
Yeah, after I went there, I realized that. Or probably I never realized it, even if that happened. I never
Okay.
realized. That happened
Okay.
on my second day there. Again, second round of trip of depression and sadness. Shit, what has happened to me? And
Okay.
then that guy said, I think some people even are facing an issue of losing the sense of taste.
Okay.
So from then on, what used to happen was there was a place where they serve food, right? There they would have kept salt. Every day, whenever I used to go there, no, I used to take a little bit and see, have I lost it or is it still there?
Okay. Okay.
I was, it was like a test from taking to put it in my mouth, right? I was
Mm.
scared what would I feel now?
Okay.
Every day I used to do this, 2 times at
Okay.
least.
Ah.
But by God's grace and luckily, sense of
Mm.
taste was there, but the
Mm.
sense of smell completely gone.
Mm. Mm.
I freaked out. I freaked out. I started calling my friends who are doctors.
Okay.
I even called the person who is the case officer basically who's handling this entire
Uh-huh.
process. That person told, be happy, no, you'll not get any bad smell at all in the bathroom. It'll all be fine, no, good for you. Sir, be
Okay.
serious, sir. I'm really scared. Then he told me to go speak to the doctor. And the
Okay.
doctor, the lady from North India, I'm not sure her name, nor I even never saw her face, always in PPK. She
Mm.
spoke to me for 15 minutes very sweetly and told me this is very common. This does
Mm.
not happen just for a COVID patient. It happens even for people sometimes when you have cold. That is quite
Cool.
common. It happens. So this is
Yes.
just that you have cold, so you have lost your sense of smell. There's nothing special about this.
Mm.
So she sort of more or less counseled me. She asked me who are my family, where do I come from. She told
Mm.
about herself. She made it a very friendly interaction, and this losing the sense of smell, she made it into a very small thing, which happens to every person who has cold.
Mm.
I was like, okay, fine, maybe that is how it is, and I had that discussion. And I asked, do you think I need any tablets? Then she gave me citrazine and she gave me
Mm.
Dolo.
Mm.
I could have done this at home, was my Then she again explained. She said, no,
Uh-huh.
no, we don't have any special treatment for COVID. We are only treating for symptoms. So that's all you are
Okay.
going to get. The reason that you are here is
Mm.
the sacrifice that you are doing so that others will not be affected, which you
Okay.
might spread. So
Okay.
this is the most important thing that you are doing. That is, you're not becoming a super spreader who will go spread around to other people. You are
Mm.
doing fine, you are healthy, and this is still in control. For some
Okay.
people, it might go beyond control, and you could be the culprit who started all this.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that is why you are here.
Okay.
That
Okay.
sort of gave me a good justification to myself that I'm actually doing a good things coming here.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
really singed in. That
Mm.
breakfast, that smell thing, and this discussion.
Mm.
And
Mm.
then I was able to do fine, and then around 10:30 or 11 o'clock, fruits and soup
Okay.
would arrive.
Okay.
And around 12:30 or 1ish, lunch will be provided.
Mm-hmm.
Around 3 or 4 o'clock, coffee, tea, some snacks.
Mm-hmm.
And then night dinner with turmeric milk or badam milk, something like this.
Okay. Okay.
Food was food was actually decent. I
Mm.
expected less, but food was very decent. It was quite good.
Okay. And you
So
were in touch with your family throughout as well, right?
yes. I had my phone. I had good internet. Always I used to talk. I used to start. I used to show what sort of food is there. They used to say, "You are having a better food than us. We are just having rasam rice. Come on, you're doing better than us." So they used to cheer me up, and then
Okay.
And just to show my daughter and see daddy, see he's on vacation, he's enjoying his
Mm.
trip, and see we are stuck here. That is what they used to try to, cheer me up.
Okay.
They'll tell. That was all fine, and I used to miss my family. I used to miss my daughter. But
Mhm.
then at the same time, I didn't want to show them that I am feeling down also, because that
Okay.
would also make them feel down. And I'm sure they would have received so many calls from all the people around asking what's happening. And then
Okay.
all the building people started asking what is happening. So
Okay.
my neighbors, all this, that impression
Yes.
and that all those things were
So
happening.
what
That
actually helped you through that, Sandeep, during that time? So it's been a huge process, right? Right from meeting and interacting with a lot of people who are either home quarantined or COVID positive, and then getting the diagnosis, checking into a facility. You're living with a lot of people who are either symptomatic or who have some symptoms, and then going through this entire recovery phase, finding a new symptom emerge halfway through. What
yeah.
actually helped you through that in terms of your own mental strength? What is it that you did, said, connected with that helped you?
Uh, One thing I told you earlier was that the doctor put it very well. What is the real justification of you being here? Why are you supposed to isolate yourself from your family and away from the world? And what is the real need for you to stay here and stay away from all those people? Even though you might recover, because in a couple of days my fever was all fixed. In matter of 3-4 days my cold was fixed. Probably I had little bit of cold left or few small, very minor symptoms, which you can just brush it off as well.
All right.
So her thought of me isolating myself so that others might not take it severe, because my parents are old, they are also having their own health issues. Kid is too young and probably she can't even express if she does face any issue.
Okay.
And
Okay.
imagining them in such a facility
Mm.
and them being positive and they are being forced to stay in such a place or away from, I realized I think it's better that I face all this and not put them in such a situation, because I
So
didn't
help
want
is
them
just the
to reach such a
perspective.
stage. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I didn't want that. That was my big thing. Even though I give them the best of the facility, isolating them from the home at this age, or making my child go through all this and
Mm.
we bearing to see all this is not what I was ready to see or
Okay.
ready to face. I think
All
this
right.
was the biggest motivation for me
Okay.
to justify myself being there. First thing,
Okay.
and first 3 days I didn't go out much. I used to just go have dinner, take bath, go back to the room,
Mm-hmm.
sit, do things in my phone, and just be there. And then my roommate sort of digested very soon. He was a senior person. He was on 40 years old, and he sort of, I think he has seen a lot of life, and he was able to digest. And he started roaming around, making friends there. But he was very sweet to me. Like, sir, come out, sir. Don't stay like this. It is not going to help you. Come out, come out, come out. He used to say, but I did not have any vision will for 3 days, 3 or 2 days, I 3 days. And then one day I was also feeling better, and like I saw so many people playing badminton, some people playing cricket down. And then I felt, come on, small kids are playing. Okay, come on, let's go meet people. And then I heard some of the funniest stories on the world there. And that was very, very, very interesting. The kind of people, the kind of scenarios that they got tested and how they came into situations that they're positive, and some people were asymptomatic and what situation they got tested, and they're
Uh-huh.
blaming for being tested. If they were not tested, they would have never realized. Since they
All
tested,
right.
they're here and they used to crib, and that used to be very funny. Eventually, the kind of people I met, and I think I started making friends there. And me, my room partner, and there was one more guy who was a Uber driver. Very sweet person, very young guy. We three became best of friends. Now we have a WhatsApp group. So we have decided once all the lockdown is all done, we are going to catch up and we are going to have a
What,
meetup.
like in
So
terms of demographics also of all the people here, you got to meet people from various sectors.
yeah,
Was this
yeah,
a
very different.
facility also?
Sorry.
Was this a co-ed facility? Both men and women were both in the
Yes,
same
yes. It
facility.
was. It was not specifically a co-ed facility. There was a separate facility for women alone. But
Okay.
there were few families who came as a family, where the entire family are tested positive. And there were
Oh,
situations where mother and child is positive, so father came along with them. So they were
Acha.
given a separate room for themselves altogether, like three share bed sharing, four bed sharing. So there were few women here and there who came with the family altogether, like an
Okay.
entire family package. They would have come there, and
Okay.
there were a couple of cases where father and mother are positive. They are from a different state. They can't go travel interstate. Now they both are tested positive and they have a child. So they brought
Okay.
their child along as well. So
Understood.
several
Okay.
stories that I heard, and the way they were dragged. Some people were dragged because they were trying to resist, and ambulance and all the scene that happened, and all the stories. And I felt very privileged and very lucky to have not faced all that, at least.
Okay.
Where
Okay.
I had a very sweet person who sat and explained my family how all this process is going to happen, and I felt I'm very lucky. And I somehow also felt that karma of me volunteering and trying to help people out was all God's plan to, give me this in this state of relief and to have things run smoothly, probably. Or I was trying to find reasons to justify that I'm lucky and it was all happening fine. And people faced a lot more sadder things to hear as well. That was very sad. Some people's stories were very sad to hear.
Okay.
Some people missing family was very sad. And then some people used to come visit their family also. They were supposed to stand around 10 feet away. They're supposed to stand so far away and they're supposed to interact.
Those
And some,
provisions are actually given, right? So the options for families to even come and visit, it's been made available.
yes, that was made available. But there used to be a security guard always keeping an eye such that they're not supposed to cross. And that used to be more emotional to see. So that's why I never told my family that you could come visit at all.
Okay, okay. So
So
10 months, sorry, 10 days plus. So from the time of being a part of the response team till the recovery, what would you say, Sandeep, is like your biggest learning at the end of this huge experience? And you have so much to share, so much to help more with people, right? So even if you are a part of the team again, you are talking from the point of experience now that you've seen it
yes,
all.
yes.
Right. So what is like your biggest takeaway, something which you could leave our audience with before we wind up?
I think I'm in a better state of telling if somebody is positive how to handle and how to react and how to sink in. It so happened that I've spoken to three or four people who were tested positive, and later on I became the point of contact in all my circles. If somebody is tested positive, they would call me to tell what to do next, and I would direct them, and I would give those three options, right? What are your three options? And I would give them the pros and cons of all the situations, and I was able to guide them in a very better way. That is one thing. Second thing, I think that would be those 10 days of isolation from the family where you're forced to stay sort of in a jail where food is given to you, you're supposed to eat, you're not supposed to cross this boundary and things like that, right? Though you have all these people around you, and it's all your perspective, I guess, to see that I have people around me at least whom I can interact and it's all fine. At the same time, I am feeling very much trapped, and probably this is how it is going to be. And sort of negative thoughts that used to come in saying that, oh, what if one day I commit some crime and I am put in a jail? Probably this is how it would be like. Or is this how it is? Mind plays games with you. It starts thinking crazy things. So all these things would come in. But I think eventually one learning is, I think it's always good to be open about how you're feeling to people around you. I think
That's
that
true.
really
That's
helped me. I made friends there. They shared their experiences, and then eventually I shared my feeling, how I'm feeling staying there. So we people used to share our thoughts with each other, and then we would all sit and plan what we would do after going back home. What is the
okay.
kind of food that you want to eat? What is the first thing that you want to go back after going? So things
Right.
like this, right? So that interaction, I think, really helped me a lot. And I would suggest everybody, in case whether you're positive or not, if you have something inside, I think it's good to have few close friends around you whom you feel comfortable sharing with. I think me making friends there really helped me. I was so blessed and lucky to have so many friends calling me who are really concerned, video calling me, and my family always being there for me, my few close cousins and other circle relatives being very sweet to me. All this was happening, but
Okay.
nothing would match the laugh and the fun or the feel that I would get when I do it with face to face, with people around there. And then eventually, I think by fifth day or something, we were all looking forward for what to do next day.
Okay,
And I
okay.
think I was there on Republic Day. I was there on one of the festivals. So that day they gave us extra sweets on or some extra thing in the menu or some desserts there. So we're
Okay.
looking forward for all that, and we would, go pick it up
Mm.
first, and then we'll all sit together and we'll talk things like this. Like I was remembering my school days when we all friends used to sit together in a circle and eat. So it became like a process wherein I would
Okay.
wait for my partner to get up and get ready, and then we go for breakfast together. It was sort of a vacation where I was out with friends, and the ambience on GKVK is very nice. A lot of
Mm.
trees, greenery.
Mm.
So I try to tell myself I'm on
Environment is also,
a
the
vacation.
environment would help a lot. And I'm really glad that on the second or third day you took that choice and that step to go out and start interacting with
Yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
started to form a new support system in itself, right? Where you realize you're not alone feeling this way, that there are other people with maybe similar or dissimilar experiences who are probably feeling the same way too. And the
Yes,
fact that you kept connected to your family and your friends and you were open with what you were feeling and they were there to hear you out, at least,
yes,
it's
yes. Very true, very
really
true.
helped a lot. So thank you so much, Sandeep. This has been like a very like jam-packed session where there was a lot of information, certain things which I didn't know about as well. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. I'm sure a lot of us have had learnings from it. So thank you to all our viewers as well for joining in today. The video will be up soon.
Okay, looking forward to see what I spoke now.
You spoke. Yes, we especially have that section where how you discover the loss of sense of smell,
Oh
what and
my
all
God.
you smelled. Yes, thank you so much, Sandeep. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for this opportunity, and I think this made me feel like some weight actually is gone out of me for some reason. I don't know. This feels very
That's
therapeutic.
the process of sharing, and there is someone out there. There's a lot of you out there who is learning from this experience, and that's the process where we grow together.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Sandeep. Thank you.
Thank you so much.